sack team in the NFL. Today they go against an excellent defensive line of the Raiders, minus Mike Ken, who's home because of the death of his father. Lincoln Kennedy, the third-year pro, will make his first start at left tackle for the Falcons.
That's where he was an All-American, you may remember, at the University of Washington. We'll watch him today. Well, here in L.A., the huge story all week long, of course, surrounded last week's overtime loss in Miami. In the first half, Jeff Hostetler roughed up. It led to this confrontation between the quarterback and Art Shell over plays coming in from the sidelines, and it was very ugly. Is this thing, Anthony, finally behind Shell and Hostetler?
I really believe it is. First of all, you look at Hostetler. He's a fierce competitor. Next, he doesn't talk to the media all week. We have a chance to talk to him yesterday morning, and he tells us he likes to take problems head on. He initiated the meeting with Art Shell, cleared the air. I believe it's over with.
Well, we're underway, and the Falcons with Leonard Harris bringing it back on the reception. Obviously, Atlanta winning the toss, and they'll put it in play just across the 30-yard line. Jeff George, a quarterback in his 5th season out of Illinois, former #1 pick, of course, by Indianapolis, came over in the trade during the offseason. Up front, again, Kennedy in place of Ken, and Bob Whitfield having an all-pro year out at the right tackle. In the backfield, Hayward in place of the injured Pegram, who is inactive today due to a groin injury. Terrific quartet of receivers, highlighted by Terrence Mathis and Andre Rison. 1st and 10. Ball at the 31. Play action. George rolling out and dumps it off for a very short gain as he goes to number 86, Mitch Lyons.
The Raider defense, they'll need to be active against this 4-receiver set led by Chester McLaughlin, 91, Jerry Ball, 93 in the middle, Nolan Harrison and Anthony Smith, the defensive ends. You have two excellent young linebackers in Greg Beekert, Rob Fredrickson, and veteran Winston Moss. The secondary led by All-Pro Terry McDaniel, one corner, Albert Lewis the other corner, Eddie Anderson and Derek Hoskins, the safeties.
Well, Atlanta coming out using a tight end, which is certainly rare in their run and shoot. And the flags come down. It looked as though Chester McLaughlin may have jumped a little bit earlier. This is a solid defensive front for the Raiders.
Well, and you mentioned one name that leads that front, a big guy, Chester McLaughlin. He's 6'4", 310.
Waiting word from the officials. And you talk about some beef. You put McLaughlin next to Jerry Ball, who checks in at certainly a conservative 310, and you're looking at nearly 700 pounds in the Raider defensive front right in the middle of things.
I think that weight of 310 was taken a while back. He might be just a few pounds more than that.
Encroachment, 91 defense, 5 yards, repeat second down.
Let him run the ball several times. Let me correct that. They didn't say several times. They said in the range of 20 to 30 times they wanted to give the ball to him.
We'll keep an eye on that as this one rolls along. After the penalty, a 2nd and 2. There is Hayward with a good hole, and he bangs his way to midfield before finally being stopped by Eddie Anderson. So 1st and 10 from midfield, first possession of the ball game. Inside handoff to Hayward, tucks it away, tried to cut back, lost his footing, but a gain of 5, so a good pickup for this 7th-year pro out of Pitt.
Well, Ironhead Hayward, I mean, the guy, for a guy that's 265, he looks good. I mean, we talked to him, and he said he was way from what they told us yesterday.
Gain of 5, it's a 2nd and 5 from the Raider 45. George, the screen set up to Hayward. He's across the 40, down to the 30, makes another cut, and he's trying to go the distance, finally dragged down from behind by Rob Fredrickson inside the 10. 35-yard pickup on the screen pass, George to Ironhead Hayward.
Well, that was a nice screen that they set up there, giving it to Ironhead. You see right here, George goes back. Bob Whitfield gets a little hit on Anthony Smith, lets him go by. And it's a nice set. They make it appear like it's a pass, and they let those defensive linemen go by. They've been giving it to Hayward up the middle. Now they get him out in the sidelines, and he is rumbling down those sidelines like a halfback, not a fullback.
Well, the body is not a halfback frame. Handoff goes to Jamal Anderson. He was activated this week because of the groin injury to Eric Pegram. Pegram, a 1,000-yard rusher a season ago, has been replaced in the starting lineup by Hayward.
Well, one of the things that they wanted to do with Ironhead back there, because they passed the ball so much, they felt a bigger Hayward could give them more protection back there. And that was a logical move to me. Anytime you're throwing the ball as much as the Falcons do, you want a little more protection because, as we mentioned in the opening, they are the second most sacked team in the league with 24 sacks.
Down to about the 7. Eddie Anderson on the tackle. The Falcons can get a first down. It would be just a half step perhaps in front of the 1-yard line.
That takes away from their pass rush.
3rd down and 7. They hand it off. Hayward will not get enough for the first down. He stopped at the 5.
Tom, one of the interesting things so far in this series, they've been giving the ball a lot to Ironhead, but one player that has not been out there yet is number 80, Andre Rison. He's yet to set foot on the field. Look at Lincoln Kennedy right there at the left tackle position going against Aaron Wallace. Takes a nice step. You know, that's more or less a zone block. He's not totally committed to blocking Aaron Wallace. He knocks him out of the way, then he goes up for a linebacker.
23-yard field goal attempt by Norm Johnson, and it is good. So the Falcons take the opening kickoff, march down the field, and have taken an early 3-0 lead over the Raiders. Well, you pointed out, Anthony Munoz, the fact that we have not seen Andre Rison. He had a tough week last week in his show.
A big fullback going up the middle, then you get him outside on the flanks, and boy, he has that maneuverability to get out there and shake and bake.
Falcons in front 3. The Rocket Ismail waiting back along with number 89, Alexander Wright. Short kick. Wright from the 18. Finds a hole. And he's tackled at the 45. Alexander Wright, one of the real burners on this Raiders team. World-class Olympic speed along with James Jett, the Rocket, and of course Tim Brown. The quarterback, Jeff Hostetler, trying to bounce back from that tough game against Miami. He was benched, then returned in a 2017 overtime loss up front for Art Shell's team. Jenkins in place of Gerald Perry, who has a broken ankle. Skrepanak, his first NFL start on the right tackle, taking over for Wilkerson. Williams, his first start, along with Brown, Alexander Wright, and Andrew Glover, the tight end. Smack from behind, the ball comes loose. They scramble for it. Roger Harper on the safety blitz jarred it loose, and the Falcons have the football.
Tom, as we talked to Art Shell yesterday, he mentioned the fact that even with teams that have 8-man fronts, sometimes 9-man fronts, you have to put a hat on people. He said, we won't drop short and throw the ball just because they come with 8 men, 9 men. You just have to get hats on everyone. That time, they did not get a hat on Harper. Made an excellent hit, and the Falcons recover it. Right here, you see him coming right off the corner there. Untouched. That is very dangerous for a quarterback when someone has a clean shot like that, especially on his backside.
So Harper on the safety blitz, jarred it loose. Chuck Smith, the fumble recovery. And the Falcons are in business at the Raider 42, 1st and 10. Great protection. Flag comes down. They dump it off to Hayward. He gains nearly 8. But again, a flag down on the field. We'll have to wait and see. More than likely, that could be a hold.
I believe so, Tom. Right here, we see the official signaling holding. Again, you look at last week's game for the Falcons, miscues, turnovers, mistakes. They know they have to eliminate those. And again, we talked about the
65 offense, 10 yards from the previous spot. Repeat first down.
Penalty on Roman Fortin, number 65, the center. We talked about this being a character check, and you have to eliminate these problems. Right here you see number 91, Chester McLaughlin, being held. You can tell because his left shoulder is going back towards the line of scrimmage. And that tells me that the guy has a death grip on his jersey.
Back him up 10 yards, 1st and 20. Hayward, a good hole across the 45, and he's down to the Raider 42, a gain of almost 11 yards. Well, right now, let's send it back for McDonald's.
One game, Saints on top. Back to you, Tom.
All right, Jimmy, what a bizarre play indeed. Back to action here on his 2nd and 9. Hayward Very short game. It'll bring up 3rd and long. Winston Moss able to wrestle him down.
Well, there has, on that, going back to that update, there has to be some awareness by those special teams. And you better believe that special team coach is going to be doing some screaming tomorrow.
I would imagine he's doing some screaming right now.
And some more tomorrow.
You better believe. And Tuesday. All right, it'll bring up a 3rd and 9 now for Jeff George and the Falcons. Already in front of the Raiders, 3-0. 7:55 to play in the opening quarter. Hayward already off to a big start. Early movement. And George perhaps a free play is wrestled down by Chester McLaughlin. Well, McLaughlin should have been able to wrestle him down because it looked like he had an early start.
Well, he had, this better be against the defense because Jeff George had an opportunity to take advantage of this. And it is against the defense, and that's what caused Jeff George to stop. But
Offside, 74 defense, 5 yards, repeat 3rd down.
anytime you have an opportunity to get a free play, and he should have been aware that their guy jumped. He's right there next to the guy across the line of scrimmage. Go ahead, go through with the play. If you complete one for a touchdown, or even if you throw an interception, you know it's going to be called back because it's a penalty on the defense.
Penalties certainly have always hurt the Raiders, known as a very physical team, but they've also made a number of mental errors that have hurt them this year. On a 3rd and 4, it's Hayward. And he's close to the first down. It's going to be probably measurement time. McLaughlin there on the tackle. Surprised at that call, Anthony?
Not really, especially what they've been doing. They've been giving it to Hayward, throwing it to him. Why not on 3rd down give it to him, especially in Raider territory? And we get back to talking about Ironhead Hayward. We talked about his weight being way over 300 pounds. So much is made about his weight being down to 264. But one thing right here in this first quarter, we're going to check and see what kind of condition this young man's in because the way they're working him.
Well, they're going to go on 4th and 1. Hayward, and he plows ahead and up for the first down and inside the 30. So they told us yesterday, Anthony, June Jones did, that Hayward was a major part of their offensive game plan, and so far it's paying big dividends.
Well, they're not going away from their game plan. You see an Ironhead coming right to you. Great shot. Mike's in.
Tight end. So 1st and 10 at the 28. Again, it's Hayward. Fredrickson able to hang on for dear life as it's down to the 25.
You know, it's amazing. The Falcons come in here. They're a run and shoot team. And Hayworth is going to start having to charge these defensive players for some rides here. Just going Ironhead, Ironhead, Ironhead.
And why not? So the 2nd down for the Falcons. George got clobbered, able to get it away. And Anthony Smith laid on the hit. The reception was made down at the 15 by Leonard Harris. So Harris again is getting the playing time. No Andre Rison so far here today.
Very surprising because I know myself, I didn't hear about any injury late in the week on Andre Rison, and to not see him in the lineup with as many catches as he has, that is very puzzling.
So a 1st and 10 down at the 15. Falcons already in front 3-0. Short drop. Fired. Out to Harris. Breaks a tackle. Close to the goal line. Down to the 1. So Leonard Harris, who only had 1 catch the entire season coming into the game today, a big reception right there. So 1st and goal at the 1. It's Jamal Anderson, and he's stacked up at the line of scrimmage. Flag comes down on a play over in the corner of the end zone, the near side. Tom Brenneman, Anthony Munoz at the Coliseum in Los Angeles. A 3-0 lead for the Falcons. Atlanta driving again after a sack and a fumble by Jeff Hostetler. And they're in scoring position with a 1st and goal inside the 1. The first down try, Jamal Anderson stopped at the line of scrimmage.
Defense lined up in the neutral zone, half the distance, repeat 1st down.
And Bob Whitfield, or rather Scott Davis, guilty. Andre Rison, we have not seen him in the game yet, Anthony Munoz.
Well, one thing that's obvious here, he has his helmet on. He doesn't have a baseball hat. He's not sitting back on the bench. So, it's hard to really say what's going on here with Andre Rison because it looks like he's ready to go in. He's just not in there.
First and goal inside the 1. Hayward stacked up, on ahead. Did he have enough to get in? We're waiting for the official signal. Some of the players for the Falcons indicating touchdown, but nothing yet for the men in black and white. Lincoln Kennedy coming up with the ball. Apparently Hayward did not make it.
Well, lineman coming out with the ball, you think maybe he fumbled it and he picked it up, but the official is ruling that it's not a touchdown. Right here you see the line of scrimmage. In fact, Jerry Ball might have been offsides there a little bit. If we can maybe take another look at that and see Jerry Ball going across the line of scrimmage there before the ball was actually snapped. You see June Jones here. Maybe we can go back to that after this play.
Well, this time Hayward will get in for the touchdown, and that makes it a 9-0 Falcons lead. Ironhead Hayward, who was not the starter early in the season. Eric Pegram was, but they've gone to Hayward, and all of a sudden he's having a huge afternoon here in the first quarter.
Well, does it surprise him?
So now the extra point by Johnson, and he bangs it through. So the Falcons have taken a 10-0 lead here at the Coliseum. 2:50 to play in the opening quarter. And you know, Anthony, you brought up at the top, June Jones told us yesterday, this is a real character game for his team, and he's got to like what he sees. And that was when Hostetler took the big hit on the safety blitz from Roger Harper. He coughed up the football. The Falcons got it, and they lead 10-0. Ismail 86, Alexander Wright 89, waiting back on the Norm Johnson kick. This is Ismail. And he is whacked at the 21. Terrific play made by Elbert Shelley. So 1st and 10 for Hostetler and the Raiders. How important is it for the Raiders now to get off to a good start, already falling behind by 10?
Well, it's very important. That's one of the things they were talking about, this offense. They've been misfiring. They have the 3 different replacement players in there. They have Jenkins at left tackle, Skrepenak at right tackle. They have Harvey Williams starting. They wanted to shuffle things up a little bit to start firing on all cylinders, and this is a very important drive for them right here.
Harvey Williams, he took a shot trying to break it off the left side. A very short game, Jesse Tuggle. He's normally the man, number 58, around the football.
You know, and again, getting back to this Raider offense, you look at a Raider offense, and last week, in the last 7 games, I mean, last week they run for 124 yards against Miami, and that's the most in the last 7 yards. So my question is that the way this offense is going to get going, by running the football? I don't know.
Hostetler on the 2nd and 10. Fires it out to Tom Rathman, the former 49er. Very short game, Ron George on the tackle.
Well, this Atlanta defense that hasn't been on the field a whole lot. You look at the front 4, Chuck Smith, a young, excellent pass rusher, Pierce Holt, Mo Gardner. The starter, Lester Archambault, but Chris Dolman will be in there. The 2 linebackers, the veteran, Clay Matthews, Jesse Tuggle at the other linebacker position. And when they run the 4-2-5, they have number 50, Ron George, who's kind of in between a linebacker, defensive back, and then DJ Johnson, Vinnie Clark at the corners, Ross and Harper at the safeties.
All right, a 3rd and 7 for the Raiders. Hostetler looking downfield, and it's overthrown, trying to hit James Jett, number 82. So the Raiders 3 and out. Oh, wait a minute, a flag comes down late. Hostetler may have taken a late shot from Jumpy Gathers.
Well, one of the things I was going to mention, Archambault and Gardner are the starters, but Jumpy Gathers and Chris Dolman come in pass rushing situations, and right there it appeared that number 97, Jumpy Gathers, the 11th-year pro, might have hit Hostetler after he threw the ball. Maybe went to his head.
Well, if that is the case, it'll be an automatic first
Personal
down.
foul, 97 defense, roughing the passer, 15 yards, first down.
Jumpy Gathers, indeed, with a penalty.
You see Dolman here, 56, trying to put pressure, but right here you see Jumpy Gathers after he throws the ball, and then he gives him an extra little shove and a push after Hostetler throws the ball. Right here you see it. He's got his arm. That's okay there. But right now, then comes the extra shove with the left hand. That's where the penalty was called.
Great work by our Fox crew getting that penalty. So an automatic first down, the ball at the Raider 40. Play action, Hostetler down the field. Right sideline, caught by Tim Brown, his 31st catch of the season. He had 80 receptions a year ago. Just a marvelously talented player, the former Heisman Trophy winner out of Notre Dame.
Well, something that they had trouble doing last week against the Dolphins, that was protecting Jeff Hostetler. Right there, Hostetler gives a little fake to the running back. They have firm protection up front. He has a chance to come back. And when you have those guys stalemated right at the line of scrimmage, it gives that quarterback some time to look over and see who he wants to hit and then pick him out and throw to his receiver.
15-yard pickup. The Raiders for the first time in Atlanta territory. Well, Harvey Williams, a very short game, and another penalty flag has come down onto the field. Well, Anthony, how in the world do you explain a Raider offensive line, big, solid, strong, veteran guys, not being able to get a real running game going?
Well, the one thing is we hear the call here, then we'll address
Illegal
that point.
shift. 87 was in motion while 81 was going down. First down, 5 yards, repeat first down.
So the penalty against Andrew Glover. Welcome our audience to watch the Rams and the Saints in a wild one down at the Superdome. Jim Mora's team coming out with a 3-point win. Here it's Atlanta 10-0 over the Raiders in the opening quarter with 27 seconds left to play. Raiders at midfield on a 1st and 15. And they'll go to the ground, and Harvey Williams, very short gain. It'll bring up 2nd and long. You know, Anthony, we were getting ready to talk about
blocking, but when it's time to run block, you got to say, hey, there's no way I'm going to be passive. I got to have an attitude, come off the ball and move my guy off the line of scrimmage. So, you know, attitude and then the footwork, the technique is a big part of run and pass blocking.
Well, that will be the final play in the first quarter here at the Coliseum in Los Angeles. It is a 10-0 Atlanta lead, and Craig Hayward. Miami in overtime. The headlines all week long here in Southern California talking about the disagreement along the sidelines. It was a heated confrontation. Al Davis himself was wondering what in the world was going on. The president of the general partner, Al Davis, has had this franchise 31 years. And, well, you know, you brought up earlier, Jeff Hostetler did not talk to the media all week long, but he did talk to you yesterday, and he said he finally put this thing behind him.
Well, you know, he was kind of open with us. He gave us a little bit about himself as a person. He said, hey, as I mentioned in the opening, he said, when there are problems that I'm faced with, I'm not one to let them fester, to let them create a much bigger problem as time goes on. I like addressing the problem, getting to the core of the problem, and taking care of it. And that's what he did with Art Shell. He knocked on his door, said, Art, we need to talk. They talked, and I believe it's over with.
2nd down and 13 for the Raiders at the Falcons 48. First play of the second quarter. Hostetler dumps it off to Williams. And a good open field tackle made by the 17-year Southern Cal Trojan, Clay Matthews.
That's right. He's back on familiar turf. As you mentioned, he was an excellent linebacker at USC. And I can say excellent because I had to try to block him when I first got to USC as a young kid. But he's a guy that's been a 5-time Pro Bowler, and he continues to play well. That's the thing about, you know, a guy in Clay Matthews' position. He's not only out there going through the motions. They keep him because of his leadership. They keep him because he still produces.
3rd and 10. 3rd down has not been friendly to the Raiders this year. There's confusion all over the place. Flags come down. Hostetler going to throw it anyway. And he's unable to connect. And a little extracurricular activity breaking out down around Hostetler involving number 97, Jumpy Gathers.
And I know one guy in that offensive line that will not allow that to happen very many times. That's Steve Wisniewski, that left guard, their left guard. If anybody hits his quarterback late, he's right there to protect him. There he is, the big guy from Penn State.
So the Early movement by Atlanta goes against Chris Dolman, and he has been a story himself. A big disappointment for the Falcons this year.
I'd say he's been a very big disappointment. And one of the things that you look at Chris Dolman not playing a whole lot, we talked to Coach Jones, and he says, well, it's not because of his play. We just want to use him where he is best suited for us to use, and that is as a pass rusher. So, we're going to get him in there, let him rush the passer, but he's the type of guy you want in there every play.
All right, a 3rd down and 5 for the Raiders. Under good protection, throws to the far side, and the pass is caught by Harvey Williams. Kevin Ross making the tackle. It's a Raider 1st down. So the Raiders trailing 10-0. Well, we now welcome our audience joining us after watching the Bears and the Detroit Lions in the NFC Central. The Lions coming out with a victory in that one. Here it's 10-0 Atlanta. Tom Brenneman alongside Anthony Munoz. 1st and 10 for the Raiders. Ball at the Atlanta 34. They'll go back to the ground. It's Williams. Broke a couple of tackles before being chased down by number 90 Chuck Smith and number 27 Vinnie Clark. Flag has come down on the field again. We've seen a lot of those here early on.
Too many on the field here, and they just continue to come out here in the 2nd quarter.
Another penalty against Atlanta. Well, the numbers in the 1st quarter heavily in favor of Atlanta in that 10-0 lead.
Well, the first one that pops out is this rushing yardage. I mean, 43 to 2 total yards, 104 to 13. And that's what explains this early lead by the Falcons.
47 defense, 5 yards, 1st down.
Roger Harper charged with a penalty. It's a 1st down for the Raiders. There has been the man who's been the difference in the game thus far today. The Atlanta powerhouse of a man in Craig Hayward. He is a load. 8 pounds playing for the Bears last season. 1st and 10 for Hostetler and the Raiders. Across the middle, Brown the reception inside the 10. It'll be another Raider 1st down. Looked like Hostetler, Anthony, may have checked off there at the line of scrimmage, something he didn't like, and then he found Brown in the open field.
Well, that's what we're doing. The crew is doing a great job of being able to hear what the quarterbacks are saying all the sound as he goes back right here. Again, excellent protection there. He doesn't see a receiver, so he wants to flush out. He rolls to his right, hits Tim Brown right on the numbers there. But there was an experienced quarterback pulling it down when he was pressured a little bit and then finding his receiver.
1st and goal, Williams trying to break it out, cuts it back in just shy of the goal line. Terrific cut by Harvey Williams, who last week raced for 72 yards against Miami. Jesse Tuggle with the touchdown saving tackle.
Tom, we talk about technique, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, but this is something that you cannot teach. This is something that running backs are born with, right? You can work on different agility drills, but right here, a nice move and takes it to the inside against DJ Johnson.
Well, we have an injured player on the field. Tell you more about that when we come back. The Falcons in front, 10-0 on the Raiders. 2nd.
No, Tom, first thought that came to my mind was my 2-inch vertical as I spiked the ball over the middle.
It is a 2nd and goal for the Raiders. Williams will race into the end zone. Harvey Williams, a touchdown run, has made it 10-6 Atlanta, and the Raider faithful are fired up.
Well, they were high-fiving, and right here, he saw the middle clogged up. You see number 22, Harvey Williams, right here in the backfield. Lone setback. You see Rathman in motion there, 44. He doesn't see anything outside, and he sees a lot of green to the outside, and he outruns Jesse Tuggle into the end zone for 6.
So the Raiders on the board. Jeff Jager on to try and add the extra point. He's not missed one all year. And still has it. So So the Raiders down the field and made it a 10-7 game. 12-11 to go in the second quarter. It should be a shootout here at the College. Touchdown run. Hostetler perfect on the drive. Falcons in front 10-7. Jaeger to kick it off. Leonard Harris at the 5. Across the 20 to the 21 before he's bumped out of bounds by the former Falcon, Andre Bruce. That's where Jeff George and company will put it in play. Atlanta 10, the Raiders 7. We'll be back right after the rising.
Well, first time in the game, as you said, and we found out that he did not start the game because Coach June Jones kept him out because of disciplinary action. We don't know what it was, but that's the reason for not starting this ball game.
George on the 1st and 10 from his own 21, and the pass tipped by number 94, Anthony Smith. See some of the scores from earlier today. What a wild one there at the Superdome.
Track meet. I know Tyrone Hughes. We saw a couple of his run back for touchdowns right here. The Redskins, 41 points.
And the slide continues for the New York Giants. They have lost 4 in a row. There's another Southern Cal Trojan.
You know, there's a few around in the NFL.
Marcus Allen having a big day again. They were in the inside handoff, and this time the Raiders saw it coming. Good play by Nolan Harrison. And Patrick Bates also coming up from the safety spot.
Tom, so far this game, you're looking for a Raider defense. Of course, their offense just takes it a long way, score a touchdown. As you see right here, both quarterbacks having an excellent afternoon so far. 5 of 6 for George, 5 of 5 for Hostetler. Getting back to this Raider defense, here's a defense that is, they've scored, 5 consecutive games, they've scored a touchdown. And that's an impressive stat. I mean, even 5 in a season, that's excellent, but 5 consecutive games, they have to step it up right here. Give their offense a little more momentum.
Safety blitz, and George is just absolutely nailed by James Trapp coming up from the cornerback position. Amazing. George hung on to the football.
That was an excellent hit. As you see, James Trapp right here. Clear shot at the quarterback. You hate to see those hits on your quarterback right here. Oh, my. And as you said, he holds on to the football. That's kind of like a dream hit for any football player, especially someone on a blitz against the quarterback.
I think June Jones asking Jeff George how many fingers he's holding up.
Let's hope he knows that's his head coach.
Alexander off the side of his foot. Rolls out to the 20. The ball is touched by a Raider. And then it's over to the far sideline. Albert Lewis coming in, may have gotten a hand on it, and certainly he's made a living of that. Albert Lewis in his career coming into today's game and blocked 11 punts.
Tell you, in his 12th year from Grambling, right here, Albert Lewis. He gets in there, makes the block, and as I made that comment about their defense having to step it up, they blitz James Trapp. He knocks the quarterback almost out, and here Albert Lewis blocks the punt. This gives the Raiders an excellent opportunity with great field position.
So Albert Lewis blocks a punt. The Raiders have the ball at the 31, trailing by 3.
Lewis right here in the corner takes an excellent angle and lays out in front of the punter to make the block. Albert Lewis, the guy that is familiar with blocking punts, as Tom said, 11 in his career, does an excellent job to get that one.
And that is the first punt that has ever been blocked off the foot of Harold Alexander. First down, Raffman on the near side. And a pickup of nearly 5 before Roger Harper was able to make the tackle along with Clay Matthews.
Get some excellent shots from the truck on this play, especially and throughout this game. Right here you see his hand right there making the block, and you see how he lays out. He takes the angle a couple yards in front of the punter and then lays out because he knows the punter is going to punt it away from his body and allows him to block the ball.
Albert Lewis, a huge free agent signing from Kansas City. Close to the first down. Bo Gardner, number 67 on the tackle. Let's see if it's good enough for a Raider first down. A little bit short, bring up a 3rd and 2. While we have a moment, we remind you this game presented by Authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or the use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Los Angeles Raiders and the National Football League is prohibited. Big play here for the Raiders on offense, the Falcons on defense.
Well, you'd have to guess that this is probably a two-down territory right here. If they don't make it here, they probably will go on fourth down.
Williams pushes ahead, and it appears to be enough for a Raider first down.
Well, they don't have to worry about them making that decision. They go right behind that left side of Steve Wisniewski at 290, and now Robert Jenkins at 295. Jenkins, it's not like Jenkins is playing in his first NFL game. Here's a guy that came over from the Rams, stands 6'5", 295, but this is his 9th year out of UCLA.
Well, who knows more about playing tackle than that man and you, my friend, two of the all-time greats. In fact, both of you named to the all-75th team in National Football League history.
Well, after this play, I have to share something that was very exciting for me.
Hostetler, great protection into the end zone. Touchdown, Tim Brown. The two leaders of this Raider offense, Hostetler and Brown, hook up for 6 points, and the Raiders have their first lead of the afternoon.
Well, Tom, what better guy to go to than Tim Brown, the 3-time Pro Bowler, the '87 Heisman Trophy winner. As we were talking to Tim yesterday, he was talking about all the catches he has after 6 games. He goes, I'm a little tired. I'm not used to having that many catches after 6 games.
Jager adds the extra point. So the Raiders, after falling behind 10-0, a run of 14 unanswered points. Brown, the touchdown reception, 14-10 Raiders.
Tim Brown, number 81, has the defender beat, makes the catch for 6 points. And right here, Hostetler reacting, saying thank you. Much appreciated opportunity to score that touchdown.
And the Raiders a 14-10 lead. This is Clarence Verdun. Good return man, and the ball comes loose. Scramble for the football. The Raiders claim they have it. So Verdun lost the handle. Leonard Harris saying the Falcons got it back. Still not sure. And now we get an indication the Falcons did indeed get it back, and it looked like Verdun, who got off the bottom of the pile, recovered his own fumble.
He did. He came back up. He's the one that handed the ball back to the official. So they narrowly, they escape a near disaster, fumbling a kickoff after the Raiders score. Right here, he's going through the hole. There's a hole. Number 52 right there, I believe Mike Jones swipes at the ball, puts it on the ground, but he does come back up with it. First down for the Falcons.
Of Cincinnati as we see Oktoberfest along the beaches in Marina del Rey. A 14-10 Raiders lead on a 1st and 10. It's Craig Hayward for a gain of nearly 4.
Once again, they're going to the big guy, giving it to number 34, Ironhead Hayward. That just has a better ring to it, you know. His first name is Craig, especially what he's been doing this first half. Ironhead, just forging that ball right up in that line.
Wouldn't you like to, even though you're in retirement, to just throw on the pants one last time and just go toe-to-toe with Hayward?
No, not at all.
See what Hayward has done. 48 yards on the ground now after that carry. He'll try to add to it. Cuts it back across the 40. Flag comes in late. Derek Hoskins on the tackle.
Tom, there was a flag right when the ball was snapped, and then the other one across the field there late when the tackle was being made.
Well, there'll probably be a lengthy conversation with a couple of different flags being thrown in. You know, we figured a high-scoring game here today. The Raiders, the 5th worst in the National Football League in terms of points allowed. And the Falcons, after serving up 42 to the Niners last week, the 6th most points allowed in the NFL.
Offside, 29 defense, 5 yards, repeat 2nd down.
It's against Albert Lewis.
You know, we talked about, we hit it earlier about the Atlanta Falcons going into last week's big game, having the 6 turnovers, having the, you know, right here you see it against Kansas City. They have 4 fumbles lost, 2 interceptions, 10 penalties. I mean, if you look at the 10 penalties, you know, the fumbles in that are going to happen at times because of the hit. When you have 10 penalties, that's uncalled for. And one of the things, you look at that, you have to eliminate those big mistakes.
Well, George, the play clock getting close to running out on him. As for a timeout, he'll walk over and talk things over with June Jones. And in those big games, it has not been easy for George in particular, Anthony. 14-10 Raiders, 7:04 here in the second quarter. 2nd and 2 for George and company. Hayward off the right side, still on his feet. Good enough for the first down, wrestled by Anthony Smith. They still can't bring down the big fella.
Well, you know, I think a little bit that has to also go into the scheme of things. You look at the Raider defense, and when you have a run-and-shoot offense like the Falcons, and then they have a big back like that, you really put in a tough situation of deciding who you have on defense. You know you're going to have your 4 defensive linemen. Do you go with 1 linebacker? Do you go with 2 linebackers? And, you know, do you add an extra defensive back? I mean, you have to decide, do we want a smaller defensive back trying to bring down the running back?
5 defensive back into the game right now for the Raiders on his 1st and 10. George losses down the sideline, and he overthrows Andre Rison. Time, as always, for our Aflac trivia question. Who is the only NFL player to score over 2,000 points in his career? You knew this one right out of the gate.
Nah, I don't think I know that. Maybe I do.
Oh,
I'll hold off. I'll hold off.
I think you know. I think you know. One of the legendary figures is a hint in the tradition of the silver and black. If you're just tuning in, Andre Rison did not start the game. Disciplinary reasons. Said June Jones, we're not sure why. He has not caught a pass. Hayward, he's handled the ball most of the afternoon. And on the 2nd and 10, he gains nearly 3. Fredrickson and Ball in on the tackle.
Well, Rison has been real quiet so far in the game, and we look as he splits out as a wide receiver, and we see him matched up on Terry McDaniel, the 2-year Pro Bowler. But he hasn't been a factor in this game yet. That's a great matchup because you have 2 Pro Bowlers there. You see big Lincoln Kennedy, number 66. Andre Rison looked like a little kid next to him.
Anybody looks like a little kid next to Lincoln Kennedy, even you. 3rd down and 7. George, good protection, fires. It's caught by number 81, Terrence Mathis, close to the first down, but a penalty flag has come onto the field. Mathis leading the NFL with his 51 receptions. That's his first today. It'll go against Atlanta to bring it back, and Anthony, you touched on it. Those penalties have really hurt the Falcons. Pushed off as he was trying to free himself up. 3rd down now and 17 after the penalty. George dumps it off through the hands of Ironhead Hayward. He felt the heat from Nolan Harrison and Anthony Smith.
Well, Tom, they tried to set up a little screen or a little shovel pass there, but the Raiders did not give him a chance to set it up. And right here you see Andre Rison on Terry McDaniel. And, you know, you want him to get off the ball and do something. I mean, that to me as a defensive back tells me, well, the ball's not coming my way. You know, it's just like, come off the ball, hit the guy, make him think that you're either going to get the ball or you want to block the guy.
Watch it.
On your side, your side, your side. Waiting is Tim Brown. And he's out across the 30 to the 34. Albert Shelley again on the tackle, along with Harper LaBelle. So 4:54 to go until halftime. The Raiders at home leading the Falcons 14-10. Yeah, you did. You knew that.
I think I'm batting 1,000, huh?
Don't get carried away.
Okay, I won't. I'll come back down. But I know along the lines I'll miss at least one.
Well, if you hit 750, you'd make $6 million a year, so that's not bad. 1st and 10 for Hostetler and the Raiders. Irving Williams makes a couple of tackles, and he's out close to a Raider 1st down. Kevin Ross coming up from his free safety spot to make the tackle.
Tom, I had to highlight this this weekend. You see Art Shell here. You mentioned the tackle play, and he was definitely one of the best offensive tackles ever play the game. And as we met with him the other day, we sat in there, and when we finished our meeting, I looked in my bag, and I had to pull out the media guide, and I said, Art, you don't mind signing this for me, do you? And I had to get an autograph from Art Shell. I'm sorry, I just had to do it.
Gain of 8 on the play, a 2nd and 2. And it's Williams again. And he has it up for a Raider first down out to the 45.
You know, it's funny, though, about that. I talked to my son. I said, Michael, guess whose autograph I got? And he goes, who? I said, Art Shell. And he goes, oh. I said, who'd you think I get? And I think he was hoping I'd get the Rockets autograph.
Right. Oh, sure.
But I told him priorities for myself.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
another date I can get him the Rockets autograph.
Well, there's a man you played on this very field with as a Southern Cal Trojan, Clay Matthews. Hard to imagine, 17 years. By the way, that number 57 worn by Matthews, also the number of Jeff Van Note, the former great Falcon. And Van Note allowed that jersey to come out of retirement so Matthews could continue to wear it.
That was a nice move. I mean, that to me tells me a lot about Jeff Van Note. I know in the short time I've had a chance to talk to him, he's an excellent individual, but, you know, giving Clay Matthews the opportunity to wear his number.
Play action. Hostetler taken down from behind by number 56, Chris Dolman. First time we've said his name today. That's Dolman's 3rd sack of the year.
Well, we talked about Chris Dolman and maybe the disappointment of him coming over. Right here you see Chris Dolman, who comes in and makes the sack. You know, Chris Dolman comes over in that big deal from the Vikings, working against Jenkins here, gets a little arm under, gets a sack. He's the number 11 on the all-time sack list with 90.5. Now he adds to that as he has this year. But, you know, talking to Jones again, he said it's not because he's not doing the job. We just want to put him in a position to do what he does best, and that's bring him in as a fresh pass rusher.
Second down and long. And Hostetler again hit as he threw the football. It's an incomplete pass, bring up a 3rd and 14, and there's Chuck Smith again. He actually has been the best of the Falcon linemen thus far this season.
Well, Chuck Smith, who goes 6'2", about 257, third-year player out of Tennessee. He comes through, and right here you see the big mitt right there from Chuck Smith. Just gets enough on that arm to not allow him to make that throw. But they talk about Chuck Smith, and he has tremendous speed. But right here, he just goes and overpowers the man. He doesn't use his speed to get around him. He just goes straight through him, which is what we call a bull rush, and he does it effectively.
3rd and 14, and the play is dead. Flag coming down. Hostetler taking a late hit, and he was none too happy about it. Jumpy Gathers has already been charged for a personal foul, going to the head of Hostetler back in the first quarter. And the Haas contending after that play had been blown dead that another penalty should have come down. I think he's
Offense, right. 64, false start prior to the snap, 5 yards, repeat 3rd down.
You know, it's amazing, Tom. I was down on the field before the game talking to Jumpy Gathers, and it was an interesting comment he made. As we see here, he comes through, he's throwing the ball, and all of a sudden he throws him to the ground. But he made an interesting comment. I said, Jumpy, how you doing? You know, being an old guy, you've been around for a while. He goes, well, it'd be a lot better if I get a couple sacks today. And, you know, his whole philosophy behind that was, here I am, an older player with the big salary, and with the new agreement. I mean, he's already seeing the writing on the wall because of that salary. He's going to be moved out, and that's the way he sees it.
Penalty went against the Raiders' Robert Jenkins. So now 3rd and 19. They set up the screen. This is Williams. Good open field tackle made by Darnell Walker. And it's well short of the first down. The Raiders will have to punt. So George and the Falcons going to get it back, Anthony, with about 2 minutes left to go, and probably pretty decent field position.
No question about it. As Clarence Verdun goes back to return this, and they've shown already this half that they can move the ball. They've been able to pound it and run the ball effectively, and they started. Yeah, they're not bad passing the ball. They haven't passed it that many times, but they've completed them. As we see, we have an injured player on the field right here. They're attending. We can't get his number yet.
The Raiders in front of the Falcons, 14-10. Clarence Verdun waiting on the punt. Driven all the way back to his own 5. Good punt by Jeff Gossett. Verdun able to make it across the 12 before being chased down by Dan Lamb, the backup safety. All right, what do you do now, Anthony Munoz, if you're Jeff George and company?
Well, you come into this ball game, you have two receivers. You have Andre Rison and Terrace Mathis, 100 catches between them. They're yet to have a catch this first half. You still have plenty of time, just under 2 minutes. You have an opportunity to go down, get these guys into the ball game, get them fired up, get some passes to them, and go down and try to score. Like I said, there's plenty of time. You have to get your two guns into the game.
Well, of the four big receivers for the Falcons, not only Mathis and Rison, but Bert Emanuel and Ricky Sanders, no catches by that quartet thus far today. Well, handed off to Ironhead Hayward. And he gets out across the 15 to the 17. Winston Moss takes him down, and apparently the Falcons are just going to let it run down.
Well, they're not in a real big hurry. They're satisfied with just giving it to Hayward and running it up the middle.
George to the near side, and he tried to get Andre Rison, but he was out of bounds when he made the reception.
Tom, it's a good thing. I'm sorry, excuse
I was going to say, Anthony, maybe now the Raiders starting to think about getting the ball back.
Well, they can start calling some timeouts here. It's third down and still quite a ways to go. And Jeff George is fortunate that he threw that ball low and outside because Terry McDaniels had some excellent coverage there. He gets that ball up a little bit, and McDaniels might have another touchdown.
He already has 3 of them this season. George on a third down, and the pass is batted away again by Anthony Smith. So the clock stops at 1:21 to go in the second quarter. The Falcons 3 and out. George has missed on his last 5 tries.
Scored here just before half.
And Alexander had his last punt blocked by Albert Lewis. He gets this one away. It is short, very high. Tim Brown lets it drop out of bounds. And the Raiders will get the ball in Atlanta territory around the 48. Coming up on Docker's halftime, James and Terry will have all get the player. Now the wide receivers coach, he's still a little upset about the Florida State Seminoles losing a couple of weeks ago to the Miami Hurricanes. All right, first and 10 at the 47. Williams carries down to the 40. Inside of that to the 39. Clock continues to run.
Tom, my only thought on the play that the Falcons started out with, the little delayed draw, and here you see another draw, is that just maybe those defensive linemen are trying to rush the passer so quickly that they run right by the running back, and they get a big gain. It doesn't make sense that they're not going downfield.
Well, 58 seconds left to play here in the second quarter. The Falcons jumped out to a 10-0 lead. A field goal by Norm Johnson, then after a fumble by Jeff Hostetler on the Raiders' first possession, it led to a Craig Hayward touchdown, but then the Raiders come back. Scoring started out very hot. In fact, it was 5 out of 5 to begin the ball game. But he's cooled off while Hostetler is warmed up. Under a minute here in the first half. Far side to Williams. Couldn't break the tackle, and he's short of the first down. Good open field tackle made by the rookie Eric Jack.
All that speed at wide receivers for the Raiders, you would think they would try something and maybe go into the end zone. I mean, they have one-on-one matchups out here, and they run the ball.
Well, it is good enough for the first down. 32 seconds left in the first half, and well, they're still going to need to get a little closer to try and field goal. Chuck Smith and Pierce Holt making the stop. And now Art Shell and the Raiders will spend a timeout. They have 1 left. Raiders in front by 4, under a minute to go here in the opening half. Down the field.
Tom, it's hard to say. I know I'm up here saying, man, I'd be passing the ball, and I'm behind the mic. It might be a little different if I was on the sideline, but I agree with that. I would think they would put it up.
Well, they're going to try it now. Hostetler nearly intercepted and through the hands of Harvey Williams. Jack on the coverage.
Well, that was close to being intercepted by Jack. Again, they have all that speed. They send him downfield and they throw a short pass over the middle. And right here, Jack almost makes that play, and he makes that interception, and he's gone for 6 points.
So a 2nd and 10 for the Raiders. Ball at the 34. They need to get closer if they're going to give Jeff Jager a chance to bang one through to add to this 14-10 lead. To Williams. He's close to the first down to the 25. Pushed out of bounds by Vinnie Clark.
Well, with their play calling, to me, it looks like they want to set themselves up for a field goal, and that's it. They want to score a field goal before half, and that's what it appears that they're trying to do. Right here, you see excellent protection by that front offensive line. Harvey Williams makes a nice catch, and then after he makes the catch, he knows exactly where that stick is, and he tries to get the first down, but doesn't quite make it.
Well, it was exactly at this point in the game when Jeff Hostetler was standing on the sideline last week in Miami. He was benched the final 2 minutes and 25 seconds of the first half. And here he is a week later, climbing out of the doghouse, trying to get his team a touchdown, and he has a first down on the keeper. Clock running down to 15 seconds. Hostetler trying to get him up to the line of scrimmage. Well, they're going for it. Hostetler throws it away, trying to get to number 86, the Rocket.
Well, it appears they've gotten what they set out to do as they got the ball just before half here. It just appeared to me that the play selection was all about just trying to get in position to kick a field goal, and that's exactly what they've done. I mean, with the quarterback sneak or the little draw that Hostetler did to try to get the first down, and then right here he throws just an out to try to just get a couple more yards to put Jaeger in position to kick a field goal.
This will be a 39-yard try. And he missed it. He just hooked it off to the left. So the Raiders played the safe way before the half, and they missed on the field goal try, and that's the way the first half will end. So that's the end of the first half. The Raiders in front of the Falcons 14-10. Stay tuned for the Dockers halftime to the playoffs. Back along with number 89, Alexander Wright. And there's your old buddy, Max Montoya.
I tell you, we have to give Max a lot of credit. You know, we had a chance to have lunch with him yesterday. He kind of grabbed Hostetler by the arm and said, hey, you're going to talk to Tom Brenneman and Anthony Munoz today. So Max, it's great. I mean, he's saying now he's having fun. He's on the kickoff return and the wedge. He's rushing the PAT field goals. He's out there jumping around like he was 22 years old. Here we go, right here. You see the big guy. He's worn that number for a long time, number 65. He's seeking his target. He's getting ready. Bang, right there. Oh, he's going to get somebody else. There he goes. He's getting somebody else. Let's see if he gets a third person. No, he says two's enough for the, 16-year veteran.
And a four-time Pro Bowler, including last year in '93 with the Raiders, a longtime Cincinnati Bengal, and part of a wonderful offense you guys had under Sam Weiss back in the 1980s. So to begin the second half, Harvey Williams, the ball carrier, and he's out across the 40. Ron George on the tackle.
Right here you see Jeff Hostetler, 10 of 14 for 87 yards and 1 touchdown. But then Jeff George starts 5 for 5, and now he's 5 for 10 for 61 yards.
Well, we brought up earlier the Falcons in the second quarter, -8 passing yards.
Falcons showing blitz right here. Here Hostetler.
They bring the blitz. Fired out to Tim Brown. He's across midfield. Good enough for a Raider first down. Vinnie Clark on the coverage and the tackle.
Great job by our audio people. We saw the blitz coming up the middle, and all of a sudden Hostetler sees it. He goes, well, I just might need to change a few things here. I think he does, and he hits Tim Brown. Right here, see Clay Matthews, 57, thinks he has him, but just enough time to get the pass away as Kevin Gogan there just gets a little shoulder on Clay Matthews to give Hostetler enough time.
First and 10 at the Falcon 49, first possession of the second half. The pitch to Williams, and along the sideline, a good pickup. So Harvey Williams, we mentioned, 72 yards rushing last week. He earned a starting nod over Tyrone Montgomery, and he's had a pretty effective ball game.
Well, not bad people to go behind. They go behind that left side with Steve Wisniewski, and they have Robert Jenkins, and then they had number 44, Tom Rathman, leading the way to give him that corner. Pick up some nice yardage on that play.
Second down for the Raiders on the move.
Check it free.
The Falcon 42. first down inside the 40, down to the 37. Mo Gardner on the stop.
Once again, when you have a guy the size of Steve Wisniewski at left guard, he's in his 6th year now. He's made the Pro Bowl 4 out of 5 years. Utilize him. Use the guy right there. They did a nice little trap. He pulled around and led through the hole. But once again, Steve Wisniewski, 6'4", 290 pounds out of Penn State.
Yeah, the second-round draft choice back in '89 was Wisniewski. Raiders knew how to write down his name. They may have not known how to pronounce it when they drafted him. They know now. Play action. Hostetler dumps it off to Williams. Across the 30, down to the 28. Jesse Tuggle with the tackle. Well, a reminder, next week, Fox NFL Sunday begins at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, with a hottest 1-hour pregame show on television. Then at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 Pacific, most of you will see the Lions and the New York Giants, or at 4 o'clock.
Back and forth trying to mix things up.
And it worked that time. Ron George laid the lick on Williams for a short loss. It'll bring up 3rd and about 3.
Also, 2 plays ago, they brought Roger Harper on the blitz, so therefore it puts a guy like Harvey Williams one-on-one with a linebacker, and 2 plays ago he was one-on-one with Jesse Tuggle. So when you blitz, you're going to have a lot of man coverage, and right now that's what the Falcons are doing. Just before the ball snap, they're moving their defensive linemen, bringing linebackers up, blitzing, maybe just making it appear that they're going to blitz, but not blitzing, just trying to confuse those offensive linemen and making Hostetler change the play.
3rd and 4. Across the middle, wide open, Tim Brown cuts to the corner, flag down, and Brown able to get in for the touchdown. But again, a penalty flag came on the field, down around the 15. Now all of a sudden, Brown getting into things with Vinnie Clark. Well, somewhat of a reminder of Andre Rison and Deion Sanders squaring off, receiver and defensive back. But again, Brown able to get in for the touchdown, but will it count or will they bring it back?
Well, we'll see who the penalty's against, but right there, a prime example of what the Falcons are trying to accomplish on defense. They blitz Clay Matthews in the middle, working games with the defensive linemen, and it puts Roger Harper one-on-one with Tim Brown. I think most of the time you have to give it to Tim Brown. His track record speaks for itself, and right there, he beats Roger Harper and he scores. Now we're just waiting to see what the call is.
Boy, the officials have taken a long, long time on many occasions today trying to figure out exactly the correct call to make. And that's good officiating. We saw, a matter of fact, tremendous officiating game last week in Washington.
Well, I think if you're not certain about a call, which they've come to a conclusion here.
Holding defense by the corner. Penalties declined. Offsetting personal fouls. 81 Raiders, 27 Atlanta. Offset, touchdown.
So it is a touchdown reception. Hostetler to Tim Brown, and the Raiders have increased their lead.
You see up the middle, if we can just, right here, you see Clay Matthews coming through on the blitz. He gets there a little late, but that puts Tim Brown one-on-one with Roger Harper. Tim Brown wins that battle and goes into the end zone for a touchdown. But once again, can't stress enough the point. If you're going to blitz, bring extra men, rush the passer, you're going to have a lot of one-on-one situations, and this is what happens when you get beat blitzing people.
And I think that Vinnie Clark went, kind of a swing for the head there. It upset Tim Brown. Both charged with personal fouls, which offset following the touchdown. Jaeger adds the extra point. Brown a pair of touchdowns in the game. His Raiders in front of the Falcons, 21-10. The Raiders here in the 3rd quarter, a 21-10 lead over visiting Atlanta. Jaeger to kick. Leonard Harris and Clarence Verdun wait. This is Verdun at the 3. Tripped up. And Greg Biekert, starting linebacker, able to trip him up out to the 25.
We talked about the blitzing linebacker right here, and that puts, you got a blitzing linebacker there. It puts man-on-man coverage right here by Tim Brown, who takes it up, a little fake to the outside, comes across. The play is made, the reception by Tim Brown, right there, little fake to the outside, gets away from Roger Harper, the catch, and now, nice little block there. He takes it in for a touchdown right here. Once again, you get caught with the blitzing the linebackers. You got one-on-one coverage as Tim Brown makes a nice outside move, takes it inside, makes the catch.
Another huge day for the former Notre Dame Fighting Irish star. First and 10 for George and the Falcons. Flushed out. Throws far side. Nearly intercepted. Good coverage by number 48 Lionel Washington on Terrence Mathis. It has just been an amazing job today, Anthony, by this Raider defensive secondary.
Well, they had excellent pressure there, but one of the things I noticed, Jeff George kind of came out to the left a little bit, and he had, right here, you see he's going to Terrence Mathis, but before then, nice break right here, makes the play, Lionel Washington, but on the near side, he had Mitch Lyons open, but decided to go back to the other side and not make the completion.
George again fades back, looks for the long ball, wide open is Andre Rison, and the pass is overthrown. He got turned around. Wow, that should have been 6 for Jeff George.
Well, Andre Rison had Terry McDaniel beat, but the ball was overthrown. Their chance to get 6. Right here, see Jeff George going back, plenty of protection. You see right there, just a little pressure from Nolan Harrison. But you see, Andre Rison has about 4 or 5 yards on McDaniel, but the ball is just overthrown by at least 2 or 3 yards.
So now a 3rd and 10 for the Falcons. They had a great first quarter, have done absolutely nothing ever since. George underhands to Mathis. He's going to reach a first down out across the 40 to the 41. So Terrence Mathis makes his first catch of the game. Again, he had 51 receptions coming in. Best among all NFL wide receivers.
This nice heads-up move.
10 minutes to go in the 3rd. They hand it off to Hayward, looking for somewhere to go, and absolutely nothing. Jerry Ball, at 6'1", 310 pounds, where we asked him, where he got the amazing foot speed for a man his size, and Anthony, I was just stunned at his answer about it.
It's amazing. He said, when I was in high school, he said, we didn't have weights. We didn't have all the fancy equipment, but he did these agility drills, the plyometric, jumping over, up and over little benches and little seats, and that's where he got a lot of his agility. Right here you have one big guy going against another big guy, and the bigger guy wins that one.
Now the whistles blow, play is dead as the flags come down on what would have been a 2nd and 11.
Ball start prior to the snap. 72 offense, 5 yards, repeat 2nd down.
It's against the right guard, Mike Sandowski.
But getting back to the agility, you see, when you got bigger, wasn't it a little harder to go over that bench? He goes, it's like riding a bicycle. Once you learn it, you can always do it.
Ironhead Hayward up the middle, and he's wrestled down by the rookie Rob Fredrickson. Boy, they love Fredrickson here in Los Angeles. Think he is going to be a star out of Michigan State.
Well, we're talking to the linebacker coach Jim Haslett, who himself had an excellent NFL career. He said Rob Fredrickson has the opportunity to be a great linebacker. He didn't say a good or average, he said great linebacker, and that's saying a lot about the rookie out of Michigan State.
All right, a 3rd and 15. The Raiders in front, 21-10 here in the 3rd quarter. George taken down by Aaron Wallace, 5th-year player out of Texas A&M.
Well, Tom, they went with the 6 defensive backs, 1 linebacker right here. Lincoln Kennedy, Aaron Wallace, big guy going against the quicker defensive end. And he gets a step and he gets him around the corner. Little tug of the jersey there by Lincoln Kennedy. Wasn't called, but Aaron Wallace gets the sack, using his speed against the big guy, Lincoln Kennedy.
2 sacks allowed by the Falcon offense today. 26 now of those for the season. Terrific punt by Alexander. Tim Brown crosses the 30, and he's out to the 37. 7:43 to go here in the 3rd quarter. Falcons had an early 10-0 lead. It's been all silver and black ever since. New, married with children. Falcons don't need to cool off. They need their offense to warm up. Trailing 21-10 here in the 3rd. Ostemper on 1st and 10. Fires out to the right side. to Ismail. And he picks up nearly 7.
The Rocket.
The Rocket.
I got to admit, my son, I shared the story earlier about myself getting Art Shell's autograph. Michael, my son, 13-year-old son Michael, is a big Notre Dame fan, so he wanted Tim Brown, the Rocket. That's what he wanted as far as autographs. I said, hey, son, my priorities, I think right now, a little more important. We'll get those two later.
Gain of 8 on the connection. Hostetler to Ismail. A 2nd and 2. On the ground to Williams. Great cut. And he's all the way down to the 40. Williams having a fine day. Not only rushing, but also catching it out of the backfield. That's a Raider first down.
I tell you, we talked about the Raiders not being able to move the ball, but right here you see Andrew Glover in motion, goes up and leads up in the hole there. Give it to Harvey Williams. This offensive line doing a job now. He starts to cut it back, then he sees the big hole along that left side, takes it up, but it's all started by Andrew Glover pulling up in that hole and creating that humongous hole there.
Off to Williams, and he's off the right side, a gain of nearly 4. Williams has accounted for over 100 yards of total offense today. He's made 6 receptions out of the backfield and rushed now for over 70 yards on the day.
Tom, you know what's interesting is to hear, you look at that first quarter, the Falcons came out and they dominated. As we were talking to the players this weekend, one of the things that I believe it was Hostetler mentioned is that those times are going to happen where things aren't going that well in a game. He says usually you have one quarter. And what it appears to have happened here, that first quarter was their quarter because after that first quarter, they have things cranked up here.
Great protection. Hostetler fires, and it's broken up down near the 21. DJ Johnson got a hand on it. He was trying to find James Jett.
Well, the thing I've noticed, we had talked, again, to the players, to the coaches, they talked about having Robert Jenkins in there, maybe giving him a little more help. The Skrepanak at the right tackle, a little more help. Right here they have Jenkins one-on-one, but on the right side they had big number 87, Andrew Glover, giving Skrepanak some help. Greg Skrepanak, the guy starting this week, giving him a little help. When you have a tight end that's that big, 6'6", 245 pounds, he's going to create a little more pass protection there.
So a 3rd down and 6 for the Raiders. And jumping across the line was a Falcon. Hostetler, a free play, connects to Tim Brown. A great cut got him across the 30, and it's good enough for the first down. It looked as though Dolman was the man who came across early.
I believe it was Chris Dolman, and he actually got a little bit of a late hit on Hostetler, and once again, one of those linemen were there to protect him. You see Dolman right up here on the top. He kind of comes across, says, oh no, got to go back. But not in time. He can't put the brakes on quick enough.
It was indeed against...
Right here, you see, I'm sorry, Tom. Right here, you see him hitting the leg. Hostetler gets up, goes, what's going on here? Something's got to be done about this, and right away, one of his linemen are right there.
Well, Hostetler has had a terrific afternoon after that slow start in the first quarter.
Well, they couldn't get things going, but like I said, when he was talking about the teams usually have a quarter where they can't generate something, and offensively they did in the first quarter, but since then, they've generated plenty.
Into a 21-10 lead. Play action. Hostetler looking down the field, has a man, Tim Brown, and then it's broken up. Good defensive play made by DJ Johnson. Well, let's send it just up the road to Hollywood, our studios. Tom Brenneman, Anthony Munoz back at the Coliseum here in the 3rd quarter with 5 minutes left. The Raiders holding a 21-10 lead. 2nd and 10 for Hostetler. Williams across the 20, down to the 19. It'll be close to another first down. Jesse Tuggle on the coverage made the tackle.
So far in the game, Art Shell has to be thrilled with the protection Jeff Hostetler is receiving because he sits back there. Right here, let's take Skrepanak right here going against Chuck Smith. Let's watch that one. I mean, he just about stands him up right here. Nice kick to the outside, nice position. All of a sudden, oh, maybe a little hand to the face, not too much, but he does an excellent job. Again, a little concern from last week, but right there, one-on-one with the speed guy, does an excellent job.
Skrepanak out of Michigan. And on the measurement, the Raiders just inches away from a first down. We understand Ron George, linebacker, has a dislocated thumb. He might return. So to bring up a 3rd and 1 now for the Raiders. The ball at the Atlanta 19.
Ron George is a guy that you'd like to have in there. We talked about it earlier in the game, 6'2", 225. He plays that position that's kind of a linebacker, kind of a safety man or a defensive back, so he can cover people. When you lose him, you lose a very diversified linebacker who can do a lot of things.
So on the 3rd and 1, Hostetler lunges forward for the first down. Although a penalty flag is on the field. A couple of them, in fact.
False start prior to the snap. 76 offense. 5 yards. Repeat 3rd down.
That'll drive Art Shell crazy.
Especially when you have a 3rd and 1 and you pick up the first down. Those are the type of penalties that can take and wipe out a drive and really stop a nice drive that you have going. And right now the Raiders have an excellent drive. All of a sudden they get a penalty instead of 3rd and 1. It's 3rd and 6.
Went against the 4-time Pro Bowler Wisniewski. So here is the 3rd and 6. Feeling the heat. Got it off. Completed the pass to Harvey Williams, but not nearly enough for a first down. Fine defensive play by Kevin Ross.
Hostetler was able to get the pass off, even though he had a lot of pressure from Chris Dolman. He got the pass off. Kevin Ross is right there. Right here you see again, Chris Dolman coming up, a little slap to the outside. He's chipped by the back, but then he continues. You see Jumpy Gathers making the first contact, but then Chris Dolman right there almost takes Hostetler down. He's still able to get the pass off, but an excellent play by Kevin Ross to come up and stop Harvey Williams.
So that penalty really does stall a Raider drive. A 46-yard field goal attempt by Jaeger, and it is good. Penalty flags come down on the field. Jaeger, that is a season best for him, 46 yards away. But the penalty will go against Atlanta. At least we're being told it is against Atlanta, and that field goal would count.
12 men on defense. That penalty's declined. Field goal is good.
That makes it 24-10 Raiders. So Jeff Jaeger able to knock it in for 3.
Well, you have to get out. They don't do it in time. Penalties, field goal is good.
And he didn't make it. So
Charles Washington, number 46. Sorry,
that's right. He couldn't make it in time. 24-10 Raiders. Dan on the kickoff. Able to get it out across the 25 before being tripped up. And by Dan Land, his second special teams tackle of the game. So the Falcon offense looking to try and get things in gear right now, trailing by 14. Brennan and Anthony Munoz back in the Coliseum. 3:10 to play in the third. Raiders in front of the Falcons, 24-10. Jeff George coming out firing. Throws, and the pass is caught by Mitch Lyons. His second catch of the afternoon. But the big play men have not made him today.
As we see Albert Lewis on the field here. He appears to be in pain. He's kind of moving around a lot, grabbing his head right there. That's one guy they cannot afford to lose in that defensive secondary. You see the face there as they show it through the helmet.
So they will take a look at Albert Lewis to give us a chance. Amended its fumble rule. Tom Brenneman, Anthony Munoz back at the Coliseum. 24-10 Raiders. Anderson on the ground, and he's immediately hit by number 74 Nolan Harrison. Patrick Bates came up to finish him off.
Right here we see that the wide receivers for the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, you see right here, Rison, no catches by Emmanuel. Especially these two guys right here, Mathis and Rison. They come to this game with 100 reception between the two, and they're 0 today.
It's amazing, just amazing. And Rison did not start this game if you weren't with us. Sat over on the bench due to disciplinary reasons by head coach June Jones. Albert Lewis is back into the game for the Raiders. 3rd and 3. George down the right sideline. They jump for the football. Did the reception be made? Yes, it did, by Ricky Sanders. The longtime Washington Redskin, his first reception of the afternoon. It looked like he may have hurt his back. And he's down on the field, but it's all the way to the Raider 37. That's a big play for the Americans.
Play by Ricky Sanders with excellent coverage by James Trapp, number 37, right here. You see him up at the top. I'm sorry, that's Emmanuel right there. Sanders going to the outside. James Trapp with excellent coverage, but a great catch by.
And he looks to be all right. 1st and 10. Ball at the Raider 37. Great protection. Wide open is Rison. He makes a catch inside the 10, all the way down to the 9. His first catch of the afternoon.
Well, now they're finally waking up those wide receivers. Right here, you see Andre Rison. He's going out right there, takes it to the outside. He's wide open. Right there, Terry McDaniel a little behind him, waiting for a little help that comes over late by Patrick Bates. Patrick Bates doesn't get there in time. So right now, Andre Rison getting into the mix of things with this first catch of the game.
1st and goal from the 9. The Falcons trail by 2 touchdowns. The pass complete to Lyons. He'll bang his way to the goal line. The ball jarred loose. It hit the official. And they are saying that Lyons was down. Boy, did he take some kind of shot from James Trapp. When you see a guy that big, you assume he's going in, and then a DB just come up and whacked him.
I agree with it. Right here, you see Jeff George rolling here, and you see right here Mitch Lyons at the tight end position. Cole comes out to his right, hits Mitch Lyons, number 86. As you say right there, I thought he was going to get in, but a nice hit by Derek Hoskins on that play.
It was Hoskins indeed. So here we go from the goal line, and Hayward taken down for the loss. And again, it looked like Hoskins was involved on the tackle along with number 94, Anthony Smith.
Tom, one of the things that I'm noticing between the Falcon offensive line and the Raider defensive line, one thing that was happening early in the game, that Falcon offensive line was getting a push. They've not been able to get that push, and the Raiders are getting great penetration. It's right there. Anthony Smith makes a nice play.
So it'll be a 3rd and goal for June Jones when we come back. That's the end of the 3rd quarter. Raiders in front, 24-10. Our coverage will continue after this message from you.
Mathis putting a nice block on him, but then Derek Hoskins, number 20, makes a nice stop to stop him from getting a touchdown.
3rd and goal from the 3. George to the corner, overthrows Andre Rison. Terrific coverage out there for the Raiders.
That was number 36, Terry McDaniel. The coverage on Andre Rison. There was really no way that Jeff George could get that ball into Andre Rison.
And it looks as though here on 4th down, the Falcons are going to go trailing by 14. Crowd on their feet, 4th and goal. Touchdown Atlanta, Terrence Mathis on the reception. George finds him, and the Falcons have climbed back into the ball game. They trail 24-16.
The big play for the Falcons, because going into this 4th quarter, they had 24 unanswered points. But it does not work. Jeff George to Terrence Mathis, number 6.
Johnson in to try and add the extra point, bringing the Falcons within 7. It is good. So Atlanta, after getting 10 points in the 1st quarter, blanked until the 4th. On a 4th and goal, George, a touchdown pass to Mathis. Our old buddy Max Montoya working in the wedge here.
Sorry, Tom, they have the rocket on this team. Maybe now that he's seeking out opponents, we can call him the missile.
There you go. Johnson to kick it off. Raiders lead the Falcons 24-17 here in the 4th. And this is the rocket. Cuts it to the outside. Beats one man out to the 40. And he's pushed out of bounds at the 43 by Elbert Shelley. It looked for a second there as if Ismail had one more step. He was long gone. 38-yard return.
Oh, the rocket Rocket. We were talking about maybe Max being the missile too, because Rocket's brother is the missile. But here he takes it to the left and then cuts it back. And number 39, Eric Jack, misses on this one, and the Rocket is run out of bounds right here by number 37, Elbert Shelley.
1st and 10 for the Raiders at the 43. Atlanta going 73 yards, and oh, do they need that touchdown badly. Williams pushes ahead across the 45 to the 47, tackled by Jesse Tuggle.
Jesse Tuggle with the tackle. Bo Gardner assisting on the play.
Well, I talked earlier about the Raiders gaining 124 yards last week, first time in 7 games. They were over 100 yards and rushed for that many yards. They have things going pretty well here. They're able to move them back, and they get 4 or 5 yards a crack. And right now, Williams, 18 carries for 76 yards. Excellent afternoon so far.
Short drop. Hostetler to the near side, makes the catch is Alexander Wright, and it's good enough for a Raider first down. Alexander Wright, twice, the NFL's fastest man. He has run the 60-yard dash in 6.19 seconds. Wow.
Tom, and we've had a chance to watch a couple speedsters. Last week we had Darrell Green. This week we have these wide receivers. Alexander being one of those, Wright being one of those. A lot of speed in these guys.
Harvey Williams wrestled down by number 95, Pierce Holt. Short gain. It'll bring up a 2nd and long for the Raiders.
A 2-yard gain.
Greg Hayward dominated the ball game early. Had a touchdown, made a couple of big receptions, but then the Atlanta offense went dry while Hostetler and company warmed up. And just a moment ago, Jeff George finding Terrence Mathis for the touchdown pass. The Raiders lead 24-17. Here comes a blitz. They pick it up. Hostetler to Brown. And he's close to the first down to the 33. Vinnie Clark on the coverage makes a tackle. And it is enough for a Raider first down.
Raiders doing a super job picking up the blitz. They brought 8, 9 guys up at the line of scrimmage. They do an excellent job. Hostetler hitting the wide. Right here you see all these guys up the middle trying to get through. Not enough spaces for those linebackers to get through. But Jeff Hostetler, cool and calm, hits Tim Brown for a nice reception.
That is Brown's 7th catch of the game. He's gone over the 100-yard mark. Back to the ground and back to Harvey Williams. Bo Gardner wrapped him up around the legs as he's close to the 30. Well, the clock ticking down, 11:47. Raiders leading 24-17.
Tim Brown, 7 catches, 108 yards. But a key stat right there are the 2 touchdown catches. As I mentioned earlier in the game, we were talking to Tim Brown. He said, man, 30 receptions after 6 games, that's a lot. I've never been in that situation, but he's adding to those 30 catches today.
2nd and 8. Coleman coming, pushed out of there. Hostetler will keep it. And he's down across the 25, tripped up by Jumpy Gathers. It'll bring up a 3rd down and short for the Raiders. For Brown, the 2nd time this season, he's gone over the 100-yard mark in receiving, the 9th time in his career. He is just such a marvelously talented player. Brought up earlier, a former Heisman Trophy winner.
Tom actually made the Pro Bowl his first time as a kickoff return man. As we mentioned, he has made it 3 times. First time as a kick returner. So right there it shows his versatility.
Atlanta.
Well, Atlanta going to spend a timeout on a 3rd and 2. Coliseum, the Raiders in front of Atlanta 24-17 here in the 4th. And a crucial 3rd and 2.
Well, right now the Raiders are 6 for 8 converting on 3rd down. If I was the coach, I'd run the ball. Then if you don't make it, you'll go on 4th down.
2 tight end set. Glover in motion. Oh, they fake the run. Hostetler going to throw. Wide open target is Rathman. And he's inside the 20, good enough for the first down.
That's why I'm not coaching.
Well, while we have a moment, let's kick it back to our Hollywood.
Anthony.
JB, he hit the marker. It is 6.
First down and 10. Williams across the left side, and he's down to the 15. Clay Matthews tripped him up. So a huge third down conversion by the Raiders. A clock now under 10, and they lead by 7.
Well, not only are they putting a nice drive, as we see right here, 76 Leo Wisniewski down on the field. But they're putting a nice drive together here.
Leo, you're talking about his brother.
I know Leo. I'm sorry,
You're
Steve.
showing your age. We'll be back in just a moment. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central.
Tom, I was showing my age. I played against Leo Wisniewski, who was a defensive lineman for the then Baltimore Colts. This is Steve Wisniewski, who took a knee in the back.
And apparently he's going to be all right. The handoff to Williams on what is the 9th play of the drive. The Raiders chewing up close to 7 minutes. The clock continues to run here in the 4th quarter, down to 9:15.
Well, the Falcons scored. Now the Raiders answering with a long drive. Right here we see Harvey Williams making a run. 57. Clay Matthews right in this area. You see the knee going down in the middle of Steve Wisniewski's back, and that's why he came off the field.
So another big third down for the Raiders on this drive. They have the ball at the Atlanta 12. It's a 3rd and 3. Incomplete, trying again for Tim Brown on the coverage. Number 44, DJ Johnson. So now the Raiders will send out the field goal unit. And he comes up limping.
He comes up a little limping right here. You see Tim Brown in motion, taking it up, and then coming. There he goes, a little turnaround to the outside. Ball thrown a little high. He was open. It was I mean, he made a nice move to get open, but the ball was thrown high.
So Brown still limping, trotting off. And here's a field goal attempt by Jaeger from 31 yards. This is a big one. It would give the Raiders a 10-point lead. And it is good. So Jaeger, 2 of 3 in the game. The Raiders extend the advantage 27-17. Still a long time to go with 8:39 here in the 4th. That was a big drive for Art Shell's team.
Say, hey, they maybe got a little momentum going. Let's take and chew off some clock, take it down, and they do come away with 3 points. I'm sure they would have loved to have gotten a touchdown, but they take the lead up to 10 points, and they do get some points after the Falcons scored.
I want to remind you, next week, Fox NFL Sunday begins at high noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, with the hottest 1-hour pregame show on television. Then at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 Pacific, most of you will see the Lions battle the New York Giants. Or at 4 o'clock Eastern, the Minnesota Vikings take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Check local listings for the game and time in your area right here on Fox Sports. 27-17 Raiders, but Anthony, we know this Falcon offense can strike in a hurry.
Well, they have a lot of weapons. Again, we've been talking about their wide receivers and all the catches they've had and lack of catches today. They have Ironhead, Hayward in the backfield. So this team is very capable, once they eliminate mistakes, to going downfield, throwing or running the football and scoring some points. Right here you see the 10-play drive, 44 yards. It ends up in a field goal.
All set up by the big return from the Rockets. Clarence Verdun across the 20, has a hole. He's out to the 40. And then he tried to leap his way over the kicker, Jeff Jaeger, who will be given credit for the tackle.
Well, we talked about the wide receivers, the big catches they've made in the past, but we forgot about Clarence Verdun, who's come over after 2 years with the Redskins, 6 years with the Colts, and he's doing an excellent job returning kicks for the Falcon team.
Brought it all the way out to the 44. So terrific field position for Jeff George and the Falcons offense.
Again, with this type of offense, you don't want to cut the field down for this team, and that's exactly what their special teams has done for this offense. They've cut the field just about in half for the Falcon offense.
George throws out to the near side, the tight end Mitch Lyons. And a good pickup. While we have a moment, let's send it back to Hollywood and James.
It's Tom and Anthony.
JB, I know it was hard as a left tackle, but there's no way I'd want it to be a cornerback. That is the most difficult.
George has hit on 7 of his last 8. They'll go to the ground, and Hayward, he has a first down, still on his feet. Inside the 40, down to the Raider 39. So this Atlanta offense certainly coming alive here in the late third quarter, early fourth quarter.
See the big guy right here taking it around the left side. Something they were able to do early in the game. And right here, see 66 making a nice block. Takes it out. Enough speed to get to the outside. I mean, the ball starts inside a little bit, but the big guy has enough speed to turn the corner and make an excellent game. Not bad going behind this big guy.
First and 10. The ball at the Raider 39. Here comes a safety blitz, or from the corner rather. It's Albert Lewis. And again, George able to hang on to the football, and who knows how. He is slow getting to his feet.
Very slow getting to his feet. He's limping around, as you see right here. Boy, that is the last thing you want to see with your quarterback, is coming off the corner right here. Clean shot at your quarterback. Nobody touches him. There's got to be some read that accounts for all the men at the line of scrimmage right here. It's not his blind side, but he drops back and he's looking to his left, and Albert Lewis gets a clean shot on Jeff George as he's being taken off the field.
George headed for the sideline. The backup quarterback for the Falcons, of course, is Bobby Hebert. There you see him, number 3. Hebert, a Pro Bowler last year after signing as a free agent from New Orleans. Oh, after being down so long, George is going to have to leave for at least one play.
Tom, Jeff George has been doing an excellent job, as you see Bobby Hebert's stats here. But Bobby Hebert, not a bad guy to have in against an AFC team, 16-1 against AFC teams in his career.
Well, what have you been doing? Going through the computer, all this stat stuff, Matt?
I tell you, there's a lot of reading you have to do. People think this is an easy job. I mean, you sit here and talk about the game, you have to know numbers.
A doctor one week, a statistician the next. Second and 18. Hebert under center. Just did get it off before the play clock expired. Hebert fires, it's picked off. Lionel Washington into Atlanta territory to the 46. So Hebert comes in. One pass, one interception, and the Raiders already leading by 10 in big-time business. He was looking for Bert Emanuel.
Bobby Hebert comes in cold. They ask him to throw a pass. Right here, he throws a pass. He might have thrown it just a little late. Right there, they fight for the ball, and Lionel Washington takes it away from Bert Emanuel for the interception.
Could blow the case wide open on Encounters the Hidden Truth tonight following football in most markets. The Raiders, after the Lionel Washington interception, take over. And the handoff goes to Harvey Williams, who is beginning to close in on the 100-yard mark rushing for the day.
Well, Tom, as we look on the field there, we see a familiar number 65, Max Montoya. As we talked to him yesterday, he said, hey, guys, I'm one play away from being in there playing. He was signed as a backup player, but he knows that he's one play away from being in there. Right now, after Steve Wisniewski takes a knee in the back, and they go right behind that right guard on the first play.
4 Pro Bowls for Max Montoya, and what a terrific guy he is. Williams behind Montoya, and Williams has gone over the 100-yard mark rushing today. He had 90 before that carry, and he picks up 14 before being tackled by Kevin Ross.
Well, that was one of the things that they were knocked about, was their running game. And last week, as we mentioned, 124 yards against the Dolphins. Right here, you see a nice opening. Max Montoya, Kevin Gogan making the blocks. That hole opens up along with Don Mosbar. You see Max right here making a block. Him and Don Mosbar, you see him kind of just turn him. That's all it takes a lot of time. You don't have to totally drive the guy 10 yards, put him on his back, which is nice sometimes, but just shield him away from the hole, and that's what he did.
We understand Jeff George has a bruised hip, and we'll wait to see if he returns for the Falcons. Jesse Tuggle immediately meeting Harvey Williams. The Raiders had not had a back rush for better than 100 yards this season. That was until today, and now all of a sudden Williams is up to 102 yards on the afternoon. You see Dallas at Arizona. If our game ends a wee bit early, we'll send you out to that one.
Right now we have 5 minutes left. The Falcons are down by 10 points. Big series for the Falcons. Right here you see Jeff George. You can tell he's in pain just by the look he has on his face.
2nd and 12. Hostetler had the pass batted down by Chuck Smith. So it'll now bring up 3rd and 12. Want to remind you at the end of today's game, Anthony and I will select the Miller Lite player of the game. We've almost come to blows debating this topic in a couple of weeks already this season.
Well, we don't want to do that.
No, we definitely don't want to do that.
I want to be able to make it to our next game. I mean, I don't want to have to sit out a week on injured reserve.
Yeah.
So I'll go along with you.
Yeah. Well, I got a feeling being about 9 inches shorter and about 110 pounds lighter, I might be in trouble. The Falcons are in trouble, trailing by 10. 4:44 to go in the game. Hostetler fires to a wide open Tim Brown. First down to the 10.
As he signals for the fair catch. And on that play, Jeff Hostetler showed me a lot sitting in that pocket. He knew there was pressure around him, but he sat right in there as we see Tim Brown. If we can just right here, nice move to the inside. Makes it right there wide open. Takes it right into the zone there, opening in the zone. Makes a catch, but again, getting back to Jeff Hostetler. Had real good protection. Right here you see Jenkins blocking on Chris Dolman. On the other side, Skripanak steps up, and he knows he's going to get hit. He can feel it, but the initial protection was excellent.
Back to the ground and back to Williams, and he's close to the 5. Anthony, I'm sure many of the people watching back in Atlanta and in Falcon territory are saying, with a guy like Tim Brown, who's already over 100 yards, how in the world do you allow him to get that wide open? No one else has done a whole lot.
That's right. You know that he is Hostetler's go-to man. How do you sit back there in a zone and let him just pick the seams open, or pick the seams and get open in the seams of the zone is what I'm trying to say. I knew what I was trying to say.
Well, you're there now.
Spit it out. You know, and I'm learning a little more about that secondary play. But you have to put 1 or 2 guys on a guy like Tim Brown because he's going to get open one-on-one, especially in the zone.
2nd down, Williams tried to leap over a tackler, then Clay Matthews met him head on. So the clock continuing to run down to 3 minutes.
Well, this kind of looks like after the first quarter, the old Raider teams that would just take the ball and pound it and dominate and physically wear you out as the game went on, and they're doing that. I mean, like we mentioned, they were outscored by 10 in the first quarter, but after that, they put 27 points compared to 7 by the Falcons, and most of it has been just pounding the ball on the ground and mixing up the pass now and then.
3rd down, the Raiders can get a first down. Hostetler just threw it away. He was looking at Harvey Williams. Williams was yelling for a pass interference against Tuggle. The Raiders will not get the call, and they'll send out Jaeger to try another field goal. Look at that day for Harvey Williams. Art Shell pushed the right button today, the first time that Williams has gotten a start.
That's right. He put him in there because, you know, we asked him, is he a guy that you wanted to get in there? You saw him as a starter when you acquired him, and he said yes. He's a guy that we saw had the ability to make things happen, and he sure did that last week against the Dolphins, and he's in there and had an excellent game so far with only 2.5 minutes left.
Jaeger, chip shot, and he nails the field goal, giving the Raiders a 30-17 lead. 2:23 left to go in the game. And what a difference a week makes if you're Art Shell and Jeff Hostetler. Everybody recalls 2 minutes and 25 seconds left in the first half last week at Miami. The confrontation along the sideline, the shouting match surrounding plays being sent in, subsequently changing plays on Hostetler's part. Hostetler taken out of the game, sat for the final 2:25 of the first half, brought back in the third. The Raiders lost in overtime, and here they are, 30 points on the board today.
Well, I know I was thinking about that situation, and I had to think about the situation if Art Shell had not brought Hostetler back in the second half, what would have happened? And I believe it was really a positive move on Art Shell's part to bring him back in and play that second half, because who knows what would have happened if they would have seen their leader pulled out of the game in that first half and not come back that second half. I think it would have been a completely different situation this week between those two and everything that happened around the Raider camp.
Well, let's see if Jeff George is going to return. He has the bruised hip, knock out of the game. And on that last Falcon drive, Bobby Hebert came in for one play, threw an interception. It leads to the Raider field goal. Harris and Verdun waiting back on the Jeff Jaeger kick. 2:20 left to go at the Coliseum. This is Verdun. Across the 20 out to the 23, and there's a flag on the field. Dan Land with yet another tackle along with help from number 37 James Trapp. But again, a penalty flag is down. Holding against Atlanta.
Once again, penalties, penalties, penalties. They can't afford to have penalties and believe they can win ball games. I mean, it's just it's uncalled for. And really what it boils down to, I say it
Holding 37 on the receivers, 10 yards from the end of the run, first down.
and a lot of those come from just not paying attention to the details. Concentration, discipline, and really paying attention to the details. And right here you see 7 penalties on both sides, but the yardage 61 yards for the Falcons compared to 31 for the Raiders.
So it moves Atlanta all the way back to the 13. 2:13 left to go, and a 30-17 Raider lead. Jeff George is back at quarterback. Not a whole lot of pass rush there. Trying to find number 83 Ricky Sanders, and it's off his fingers. Let's send it back to Hollywood and James Brown. JB.
Tom, Buddy Ryan said Emmitt Smith would not run on the Cardinals. Well, this is only a 6-yard run, but it is a touchdown, and it is 64 yards on the day for Smith, and the Cowboys are ahead by a touch. That late in the fourth, under 4 to play. Let's take you back to Tom Brenneman.
Well, Anthony Munoz, we have been around for the only games Buddy Ryan's team has won this season. We had the Minnesota game and then last week at Washington. George in trouble, and he is sacked. And it didn't look like he had a whole lot of mobility back there, Anthony. Chester McLaughlin in on the sack. That's his 3rd this season and the 4th today given up by the Atlanta offense.
You make a great point, because I noticed 2 plays ago as he went back, he didn't look real comfortable back there. And right now he goes back and he tries to get away, but he just can't move back there. Of course, he has all that pressure, but I noticed even when he had time 2 plays ago, he was not looking real good back there.
So it'll be a 3rd and 19. We've reached a 2-minute warning. George and the Falcons trailing the Raiders 30-7 victory. It is a 3rd and 19. Hebert has replaced George. I'm sorry, no, it is George back in there, and he fires to Andre Rison. Good enough for the first down out to the 30. And George still limping.
It's obvious he's in a lot of pain, and right there, he threw that ball extremely well, but he did not step into it. Right here, you see Andre Rison going against Terry McDaniel. Takes to the outside, pushes him, he goes into the zone. McDaniel leaves him, kind of slips a little bit, but he, again, finds the opening in the zone. Patrick Bates back there has to close a little quicker, and I think a little bit of that slip came from all the touchdowns that the Trojans were scoring and wore out that sideline.
Oh, USC guys. First down, and George going for the long one, and he overshoots Andre Rison. Good coverage back there by number 36, Terry McDaniel. McDaniel, a Pro Bowler in his own right. In fact, a couple of times, the first Raider rookie to start an opening game in the defensive backfield since the legendary Jack Tatum back in '71. Penalty
Holding,
flag.
72 offense, 10 yards, repeat first down.
They got Mike Zandowski, the right guard.
Well, once again, you might not hear a player's name all game. See that flag go up in the air, and all of a sudden, for the first time, you hear Mike Zandowski's name as he is caught for holding on that play.
Well, you always find a chance to sneak in that Southern Cal stuff. That's all we've heard about all week. 30-17, Raiders in front. And a minute 45 to go. George throws it out to Terrence Mathis, and he's well short of the first down. Well, today's game was produced by Roy Hamilton, the former UCLA Bruin, directed by Billy McCoy. The studio was produced by Scott Ackerson and directed by Bob Levy. The executive producers of Fox Sports, Ed Gorin and David Hill.
I got to admit, it's not hard. Let's go from UCLA, Roy Hamilton. Let's go back to USC. It's not like it's a forced thing. I don't have to force the comment because so much happens with USC. I mean,
George looking for first down yardage, and he has it. Completing the pass to number 83, Ricky Sanders. Clock continues to run down to 1:30. The Raiders with a win today would go to 3-4. The Falcons, meanwhile, back-to-back losses. Last week to the Niners, this week to the Raiders, and they'd be back to 500. Pass complete again to Mathis, but he stays in bounds. Not what he had in mind. Good tackle by McDaniel and Dan Land.
you know, a lot of times there's guys that kind of get missed. They get overlooked in the job they're doing. As the official calls the timeout. But my thought is, and we'll get back to the story I'm about to share about another lineman for the Falcons. A lot of times you have players that are overlooked. You know, you have the Mike Ken story at left tackle being replaced by Lincoln Kennedy, but they have a guy over at the right tackle, Bob Whitfield, who they believe is having an all-pro year, and they believe he's one of the best in the league so far this year.
George able to just throw it away as it's down to 1:04. And again, a reminder, some of you may have a chance to watch the conclusion of that game at Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, where the Cowboys had just broken a 21-21 tie on a touchdown run from Emmitt Smith.
I know a couple of weeks ago, Buddy Ryan had made a few comments in the paper. They go into Dallas and they get blown out. This week, a much closer game, and that Cardinal team is playing a lot better against an excellent football team in the Dallas Cowboys.
Second down and 10 for George and the Falcons. They trail by 13 with almost a minute to go. A minute one, in fact, left to play on the tip ball. Pass incomplete, trying to go to Terrence Mathis. What does this game mean for the Raiders, Anthony?
Well, again, excuse me, as we talk to the players, you know, you have the Chargers that are 6-0 in their division, and what they're looking, first of all, to get back on track. They had a decent game last week against the Dolphins. They were close to winning the game. They felt their defense played well enough to win, but they just didn't do it offensively. This gets them back on track, closes that gap between them and the Chargers. And really, at this time of the year, you can say, well, we're shooting for a wild card game, but you know, they still have a chance to win this division.
Intercepted. Lionel Washington, his second pick of the game, his third of the season. And that's going to do it for George and the Falcons here today. And now some extracurricular activity going on at the 25. Pushing and shoving. Whitfield is there along with Richards. Nolan Harrison, 74. And the former Atlanta Falcon, Andre Bruce, number 56.
Well, there's probably a little frustration on both ends. Again, Bob Whitfield and the Falcons about to lose this game. There's probably some frustration there. And once again, the guys that are going against Whitfield, maybe a little frustration from not being able to get to the quarterback. See George going back. He throws the ball, and he's almost hit as he throws the ball, but does get it away. And Lionel Washington makes a nice play on the ball, intercepts it, and he knows exactly what to do. Run out of bounds. Jeff George not real excited about the outcome of that pass and this game, and he should be.
Now the Raiders just going to have Hostetler go down on a knee and run out the clock. Well, our Miller Lite player of the game, Harvey Williams. His first start as a Raider. Signed as a free agent, of course, was Harvey Williams from Kansas City. And you see the numbers. Career high in rushing. First time a Raider back has gone over 100 yards this season, and a big job out of the backfield catching passes.
Well, not only the over 100 yards rushing the ball, but an excellent target, like you said, coming out of the backfield. He got an opportunity to be in there at the start, and he responded with an excellent game.
This will be the final play of the ball game. Hostetler down on a knee, and that is that. So the Raiders, certainly a controversy-filled week, with a great deal of debate, a lot of tight lips in the Raider camp with Shell and Hostetler not saying a whole lot to the media. Hostetler did share with you yesterday the fact that he had the meeting with Shell earlier this week on Tuesday. They ironed out their differences, and it turns into a Raider win here today.
Well, I think when you have a situation like that, the best thing to do is keep it quiet. I know you have to talk a little bit, but but you don't have to come out and share everything. And really, that distracts a team if you talk about it, and they did a good thing.
All righty, for Anthony Munoz and our entire Fox crew, thanks for being with us. Our final score from Los Angeles' Coliseum, a 30-17 Raiders win.
Coming up next.
This is Charlie Jones and Randy Cross. Those of you that are just joining us, will bring you up to date on this contest between the Denver Broncos and the San Diego Chargers. Here's the call. It will go against Denver. Denver is leading by 5 points, 20-15.
Defense, 5 yards, automatic first down.
And leading with the Reggie Rivers going into the wedge low, getting the penalty, and now holding. The Broncos late are making the mistakes that Stan Humphries' Chargers made early in the game that really got things going. I mean, this is a situation where Denver cannot afford to make these kind of mistakes. Now's when they got to start trying to make plays, not mistakes.
The offense of San Diego pretty well contained by Denver. John Carney with 5 field goal attempts, no touchdowns. John Elway hooking up with Shannon Sharp for a couple of big plays, including their touchdown. Jason Elam with a 54-yard field goal for Denver. And again, Denver 20, San Diego 15, just over 2.5 left. San Diego with the ball at the 40-yard line.
For all the success of the running game by means, the way to beat Denver here is you got to throw it.
Humphries to throw. He fires and it is intercepted. A flag goes down. Mark Say, the intended receiver, and Ben Smith has the interception as Humphries tried to force it.
And Mark Say is going to be called for a face mask, reaching around and grabbing Ben Smith's face mask. What a good job by Ben Smith, anticipating the pass, knowing Humphries had the pass to beat him, and breaking on the ball when he saw Humphries go into that route.
Ben Smith with a pinch rotator cuff in the right shoulder.
On San Diego, will penalize 15 yards, first down.
He has nerve damage in his left shoulder, and Ben Smith comes up with a key play of the ballgame.
But there's nothing wrong with his intuition and his ability to break on a ball, read a pattern, and intercept the pass. There's the face mask you saw where Say grabbed him by it, but watch him just breaking on the ball, the concentration involved in catching the ball as your face mask being tugged. Just an all-around strong effort by Ben Smith. And an all-around effort by the offense of the Chargers on the day so far that has been extremely weak to pathetic at times.
Denver at their own 45-yard line. Just exactly 2.5 minutes left to go. And Denver has broken the hearts of their fans 3 times this year, late in the ball game. But this time they lead by 5. And they'll work on the clock. And here's Leonard Russell, and Junior Seau cuts him down and will take a timeout. Chargers have a timeout remaining. Broncos have 1. We have 2:25.
This is a 40-second timeout.
I mentioned earlier, this is the time of the game of big players making big plays. And here's Junior Seau running through from his middle linebacker position to make this play. But, you know, at the very beginning, we went into this game thinking Ben Smith and Crockett have got to have big games. Crockett's played pretty well, but Ben Smith has come up huge. Big hits on Natron Means, some good defensive plays, and the critical interception at the time that the Denver Broncos needed it.
And Crockett also with an interception.
Exactly. I mean, this has just been a job of the Denver defense. Everyone wants to talk about they can't do this and they can't do that, but you see Ben Smith sitting on the right there with the number 26. You see this defense, Charlie Waters and Wade Phillips, has found a way to use what they had to attack this offense. They've given them the run to a degree, and they've taken the wide receivers in the passing game away from the Chargers.
2nd down and 14. Russell to the 45-yard line. And now San Diego will take their last timeout. Darius Martin and David Grigg.
San Diego, their
Junior Seau calls for the timeout.
This is a 40-second timeout.
It'll be 3rd down and 10. The next timeout will come at the 2-minute warning.
And if you really feel no sense of urgency, no excitement out of the Denver offense, I think what they really feel as a group right now is, you know, they know, and Jim Fossil there with the glasses on with the headsets, the offensive coordinator, he and John Elway know very well they can do what they do here. If they get a first down, great, but they've got a defense that is giving a struggling offense fits right now. Every time the Charger offense makes any kind of mistake, the Denver defense takes advantage of it, and that plays into the offensive game plan of a team.
And you almost have a feeling on 3rd down and 10 that John Elway is going to look to Shannon Sharp and hope that he can find him all alone like he did moments ago.
These are the kind of games that good teams trying to be great find a way to steal.
Sharp goes in motion right side. Elway, a quarterback draw. And he is down at the 45-yard line. So they try the quarterback draw. Time will run down to the 2-minute warning. And the Chargers will have no timeouts.